Welcome to Performance Reviews, where I give you the review and technical tutorials from the technician's point of view, and welcome to part 2 of our Olympia special rebuild. We last left off with the motor and everything in a million pieces. Before we get started, a quick reminder, hit that bell notification so that you see my latest videos.
Alright, it appears my microphone was not plugged in, that's great. So the fan baffle assembly, you have your spacer, the short baffle, and you can see as you line this up, you'll see that all the baffles are going the same way and all the fans are going the same way. That's kind of important. And I'm just going to rub any excess. About 2 days ago, I sprayed some stuff down with WD-40 to try to prevent rust. So if anything looks kind of woo, that's why. That just fits on there. There's nothing holding this together except for this and the one bolt. So this goes that way. And then this guy, which I'm going to put on just like so. There's plenty of lubrication from when I lubricated the bearing on that, but normally you would probably want to drop a little drop of oil on there, and just to be friendly for the next person servicing said thing. Just hand tight. Just rotate it, make sure nothing's rubbing. And then this, I noticed, where was it? One of these was kind of bent. This one. I'm just going to stick that in a vise and just straighten it out. All right, straightened up. So when we put this all together, if I didn't say it before, this is really all that holds this together. And now I just want to take a proper size screwdriver, which is a number 4, and just loosely start putting these together. Don't tighten them down right away. Until you have them all slightly snug, and then you want to give them just enough tension. You don't want this outside thing to bend or bow too much. That's why the screws all have stops on them. All right, that's good. Just want to rotate this, make sure nothing's hard to turn. That's all very excellent. I wasn't kidding when I said these things felch dirt and dust. Hopefully when I've got mine back together, it doesn't. Because everything will be clean and nice, and I will have HEPA bags running. It's amazing how many of these 1970s cleaners you can get HEPA bags for. Anyway, so I'm just going to push this on. I didn't really count or see which one was which. So if you're one of those people who's picky about their carbon brushes, yeah, I didn't do that. What I will do when I'm putting this back together, oh, man, somebody probably wouldn't notice that if that's why you have a screw tray, so that you know if you're missing a screw on a machine you don't work on a lot. Oh, that means I need to retension everything. Just make sure they're all tensioned up then. Come on, get in there. All right. Everything's been retensioned. magnet tray and the screws. What was holding these in were these. I don't know why they chose that. That's kind of a weird choice. And just definitely do all this by hand. All right, well, we have the Electrolux all washed out. I rubbed the inside and outside of anything metal at WD-40, trying to preserve anything I could. So now it's time really just to start putting things back together how they were. I'm going to attempt to put the motor in and then put the bag thing in. I think that will be easier. I might be mistaken doing it this way. But after taking it apart, it seems like that would be the easier thing to do. So I'm just gonna, there's the gasket, there's what goes where. And then this had some interesting little, these guys in it that held the motor in. So I thought that was an interesting way of doing it. And those are the same things that they go all the way through one of the deflectors of the motor. Yeah. So this whole thing is designed, oh, okay, I see. This whole thing is designed to give the motor less vibration. Very nice construction indeed. And the whole thing, you know, the whole thing does not fit on with the carbon brushes attached. Looking at this, to put this on. So it was, I did find finally something. It's an 11/32 weird ass size. So we got that in and the rubber thing, and now everything kind of seems warped, but again, that's the way it was made. I'm not really super concerned about that. Try to be nice to these wires here. So I'm just going to drop it in there. Just now trying to put this motor in. So when this goes in, I was right. It does need to be in this orientation. And for some reason, when I put together, I couldn't get to line up quite right. So now, if I put everything in, oh, look, everything just lines up the way it should now. Go figure. So don't do what I did. Do it properly, and you won't have the troubles that I just had for a good half hour. The other thing I noticed is the screws, they're like aluminum, or I don't know what, maybe they're steel. They're some sort of, they're just zinc steel maybe. They fall off when you go to do that. So, yeah, I'm gonna start them like this, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, you see how that's going. Let's try that one more time. So let me show you a little trick. Take some electrical tape. Put it on here. And then this, like so. Now, that's not gonna fall off. You can just continue doing that.
As you can see, there is a lot of wrenching around and finding the proper tools. This is all very funky SAE size screws and stuff, nuts and bolts. So finding all the right tools really took me a while. I didn't really have them, but I did find some stuff that worked. So yeah, we're going to speed that up and you'll see I'll stop it right here.
Yeah, that's not going to work any further before that falls over. Well, let's hope that holds. Doing a 10mm on an angle like that really isn't a great idea. but you got to work with what you have sometimes. Well, let's start doing the easier stuff, which is putting everything else back together, or switch assembly, or relay block, that sort of thing. This guy was just like in here. I don't know, we'll see. How is he? Man, this is so weird how this goes together. They could have, nowadays this would have been molded in one piece. That goes in there. Just like so. And then this was sitting up there with the switch. What's odd about this is this was just like sitting in here on this, like some, ooh, don't drop that in the motor. Yeah, well, we gotta figure this out now. The switch must go that way. Beautiful. And you can still order that switch. And this had one of these on it. We had this, and I believe this was what was going up into that, along with, or was it this? That does seem right. We'll do that. We'll start to connect things here. That just dangles there. And then, all right. I'll see how it works. And then this is snapped in place. We'll just hold that until I got everything the way I want it. All right, let's see what's what in here. Actually, the first thing we want to do before we do anything more is I got this stuff to put back. And this was, or does it maybe sit like that? That's probably how it sits. All right. And the rounder side is on the bottom. That would just go in there. Okay, I see what happens here. That just doesn't seem like it has any rubber, anything holding up. There's no gasket in between there. That foam thing is the gasket. Well, I checked my footage and I was correct. That foam gasket is really a gasket as well as the sound deadening. It's kind of ingenious, actually, the more I think about it. But just something I came into. I wasn't sure what to do when I saw that. So then this guy, I just saved him so that he would go back. And this is at a time where the plastic was kind of a new material still when they designed this in the 70s. So it wasn't quite as strong as it is today. So the wiring goes like that. And then you gotta make sure the catch-all works. Kind of like putting a door on a car. Tighten everything up now. Give that some oil so it stays good. All right, so now let's put this stuff all back together so we could actually vacuum with it if we wanted to. So the gasket as well is going to get usual pledge up to preserve it, and this helps insertion as well. So that goes like so. Then you'll just see this has a, well, there's that. And when we put this on, it's like, you know, the Electrolux 2100 also doesn't use those two screws as well. That's an interesting design feature that they chose. Let's take, I took a picture of that. Let's take, yeah. So it looks like my extra wire that I thought went back here actually goes up there. Oh. It doesn't get tucked in there. It gets tucked. Those wires go right there, along with that, right there. Aha! Now all this goes together. Okay, this is an example of a machine where white goes to gray and black goes to white, and things are weird with this. So I've got it apart, plugged in, and I wired everything up, and I had to put a bag in here, of course, but hey, not bad. So let's unplug it now, and we'll now we can start putting things back together. I feel a little bit better about doing that. Again, I just didn't want to do that with everything like it was, because things just were not clear. So that's how that's going to go back together. Sorry, my wife came in and made dinner for me, so that was cool. So let's put this bad boy back together the best we can now that we have the wiring situated how it seems like it should since the machine turned on. Let's put the cover on the front, and this isn't painted all the way if you're wondering why that's like that. So this cover, unfortunately it had a crack in it, so I wet sanded it and cleaned it up. Then it's got epoxy. There's epoxy on the front side too, but you can see it. I was hoping I'd get away with a slightly better epoxy job than that. I also had to put this bag in it to make it run, just a consequence. Kind of can't set it up on anything. Oh, you know what? Let's do that for now. There we go. Everything good and squared. Make sure everything's settled. And again, I'm using a HEPA bag versus just a paper bag. Now, this is a 4-layer paper bag. It's better than what whoever used this originally had. And remember, these Olympia specials were the budget model, so it would make sense that they would use the 1-layer paper bag, being a budget-minded customer. All right. Now, oh, here's something I've never been a fan of this wheel. You can buy new ones of these from Perfect, and it's not a bad idea. But because I didn't do that, you can see they're just loose ball bearings in here. So the key to this, making that work, is lubrication. A little bit of grease in there. Or you could drop oil, I suppose, but you're gonna end up using grease. You don't want to overdo it because it's going to come out. So if you shake this up and really that little bit of grease in there, and then just wipe off the excess. For the love of God, don't get that on your carpet. In fact, I wish I had a petrol grease for that washed out. But yeah, that little bit of grease in there is going to do wonders for the rest of its life. And I don't. It's not such a bad idea if you want to do that. So we're going to turn it over. And I think the M81, I think that means it's a 1981, which would be, these were made from, this particular color was made from like 1980 to 1982. Not very long, as you could imagine. And then these two just go on here. I don't know what was up with Electrolux and these fake like carpet runners, but that's an Electrolux thing. That's on, like the Model G had that too, and new Model L, all sorts of them had that. All right, just smooth any burrs on that out real quick. And I did wash everything, but like I said, some things just don't. I accidentally got grease everywhere. That's great. Again, you don't want grease on your carpet or on anything. Right. So now we're gonna put this guy back on, and you know, the little logo's intact. And he just kind of snaps on. This is something dealers would have done for customers, like why they waited after they bought a new machine or something like that. It's kind of interesting to think that they made a cord reel that was optional. And that was Electrolux back when this machine was conceived. And like, they had a long history of doing that. Like the model, going back again to like the Model 30 had an optional cord reel, the LX, the G had a model, a detachable cord reel. So that was kind of a thing that they did. Again, hard to think of now that you'd make one was detachable, but that was the time. And I remember, so this is the thing that really makes this machine kind of unattainium, is this detachable cord reel was so uncommon. And a friend of mine who has one without the detachable cord reel, I was like, oh, that's my childhood vacuum. I recognized it from its switch. But something seemed off in my head. I couldn't figure out what it was for years. Then it occurred to me, my parents had gone for the optional cord reel. So this is all very straightforward from here. All this is just gonna simply go on like so. Again, everything just kind of lines up. Now your screws, we got a few more screws left. The big screws just kind of go in here. And yeah, the panel gap is normal. Panel gap on Electroluxes. And then the longer of the two machine screws would go right there. We'll put that front one on first. All right. Oh boy, we'll make sure if I line the switch up. If the switch is misaligned, then we'll just undo those screws. And there's one more screw I forgot to put in, just on the bottom, right there. I'm not going to grease them, but I am going to put just a drop of wheel oil on the axles right there. That will make those move very nicely. So that is our Electrolux Olympia Special with the cord rewind. Gosh, I didn't notice those. I wonder what that is. That might be rust coming through there. Let's see if it works. got suction. Thanks for watching, folks. Give this video a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed taking a look on the inside of what was my childhood vacuum. I know I sure learned a lot putting this back together, as it's not assembled like every other machine I'm used to working on. Check out our Patreon if you really want to help us make more content like that. If you just want to talk about vacuums in general, check out the Discord link below, and have yourself a wonderful day.